Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order on August 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Oh, who's Mr. Mason? Please call a roll.
All right, Trustee Garcia,
Here.
Trustee Malone,
Here.
Trustee O'Sullivan,
Here.
Trustee Andreessen,
Here.
Trustee Frost,
Here.
Trustee Vela,
Here.
President Skillman.
Here.
All right, there is a quorum.
Excellent. Please stand for Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Okay. So, Brad, we need to make a motion then to
Yes, sir.
Secretary?
If a trustee could make a motion to appoint Mr. Mason as the recording secretary.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ben Mason as the recording secretary for tonight's board meeting.
And I'd like to second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee O'Sullivan, second by Trustee Garcia.
Roll call that.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Garcia,
Yes.
Trustee Malone,
Yes.
Trustee O'Sullivan,
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen,
Yes.
Trustee Frost,
Yes.
Trustee Vela,
Yes.
President Skillman.
Yes, motion carries. You're elected, Ben. I mean, you're made as a recorder tonight. Thank you for that. We have no proclamations tonight. We will move on right to appointments, confirmations, administrative oaths. We have a lot of reappointments tonight to our BDC. Also, we're going to be talking about that later on in the agenda about different committees that we have out there that we're going to be putting out something on social media to have some people apply, okay, so for our different committees. But these people have been on for a while, and we want to keep that Business Development Commission going in the right direction right now. So I'm looking for a motion for the reappointments A through E.
I'll make a motion for A through E on the appointments.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Frost, second by Trustee Andreessen, and roll call, please.
Trustee Garcia,
Yes.
Trustee Malone,
Yes.
Trustee O'Sullivan,
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen,
Yes.
Trustee Frost,
Yes.
Trustee Vela,
Yes.
President Skillman.
Yes, the motion carries to reappoint our committee, basically. So, and again, we will talk about more about that. So, public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight?
No one signed in. There is a gentleman who just walked in.
Mr. Sanchez from the county board.
Oh, yeah, let's recognize Jared, Mr. Sanchez, our county board member. He has some great news for us tonight, hopefully, from the county.
Thank you, everyone. Jared Sanchez, King County Board. Do I need to say my address?
No.
You guys do? Okay. I don't know how formal it is. Yeah, it's semi-good news. We're still working through the process. So yesterday, we're meeting weekly, and yesterday we were told by the state's attorney's office of the third-party administrator that we're going to be using for this whole process. So all the applications that come in from municipalities and from possibly small businesses and nonprofits, they're going to all go through this third-party administrator so that we can, sorry, I had to run here. I forgot you guys are in person. I was going to call in, so down the street, I better go.
Jared, I'm sorry, maybe, does everybody understand we're talking about the COVID money at the Kane County level?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I should have prefaced that
That's
as
okay.
well. So the CARES Act money. And so everything that we do is going to be double-checked, triple-checked by this third-party administrator. We asked the state's attorney's office to help us, to be our staff, essentially, for this whole process, because the state's attorney's caseload is way down, so we're able to fill that in with all these requests that we have, because our staff otherwise is pretty limited for these kinds of research projects. And so we don't have a final number yet. Yesterday's meeting was very productive. We have to send our recommendations to the full county board, and then from there, if everything goes through, then what it's going to be looking like right now is Carpentersville will get somewhere around $60 per capita per person. And I don't know what the total amount was, because it's all kind of, we're just hashing these things out. We went through a very long process. I don't know if any of you guys were on the call yesterday, but they're available on the YouTube channel now. You can go back and listen if you want to hear us get into the weeds and all these fine details and points of all this stuff, but it looks like we're going to be taking over direct payments to fire districts, other local units of government, so park districts, townships, I think even Forest Preserve as well, and then small business and nonprofit grants we're going to take over. So that also will be going through a third-party administrator. We're going to have to develop an application for that. I'm told that it's going to be a little easier to develop an application for the small profit and the small business and the nonprofit organizations. Right now, we're still getting together the one for the municipalities. So you guys should be getting that soon. Once we open up, I don't know what the date's going to be yet. So we're waiting for that third-party administrator to now get everything together and finalize dates and details, and then everyone will be able to apply. So just based on $55.98, I believe is some of the figures we're looking at, one of our charts. If we were to keep it at that number, Carpentersville would be eligible to apply for up to $2 million. So that's a very substantial amount. That'd be very helpful for the town. Doesn't mean the town will have $2 million worth of eligible requests, but there's that availability there. The number we were talking about yesterday seems to be a little bit higher, so I don't know how much exactly, but that's still a significant amount, even at $55 a person. So I think that's pretty much it as far as Carpentersville is covered, because the rest of it is how the county is going to be
Right. I think,
spending all that. I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing all the details of those things.
but we have questions, I'm sure, but I have a question on these small business grants. I'm getting a lot of questions. People are asking me, out there in town, and, how do we do it? What are we going to do? How are we going to get help? Help. They need help, And times are just going to get worse, I think, here in the next few months. So hopefully we're going to be able to direct them to a committee or someone down there at the county level, or?
It's going to be the same office, the same apparatus that the municipalities apply for.
Okay.
So it's all going to be going through our.
So maybe we can help them through our finance department somehow, or our village manager, or
Yeah, we'll make
to
sure
direct
everyone
them.
is aware of what our process is.
Community development director, Ben, I'm sure you'll be involved with a lot of that, so.
Yeah, and the Chamber of Commerce as well. We would like them to be active in promoting this once it becomes available to help everyone understand.
So
And I don't know-
nonprofit, is there money for them too?
Yeah. So
Oh, great.
What we talked about yesterday, and again, these numbers could change by the county board. 8 million will go to small business grants, and 2 million will go to nonprofits. And possibly with an emphasis on those that assist the homeless and the more dire needs of the nonprofits out there. So those numbers could change, but that's where we're leaning towards right now.
2 million in the whole county.
2 million in the whole county. Part of the conversations, though, as well, is the idea that the application window for the municipalities, it's going to be about 2 weeks. So it'll be 2 weeks where everybody can apply, and we'll know how much money everybody needs. We're kind of predicting that some places won't need their full ask, or,
Okay.
they won't ask for the full amount. So we're going to have a lot left over, and we've already talked about being able to put into things like nonprofits to, help buffet those numbers. So.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions? Trustee Garcia?
Yes, the application for the small business, would that be similar to the PPP? Or it has to be, how is it going to be channeled?
Is similar in what way?
Easy process, fast stream?
I can't speak exactly because we haven't developed that yet, but I know it's going to be pretty simple. If you look at what DuPage County is doing, you can go to their website, you can search on Google and find their small business application process. It's very simple, and they have certain criteria. You just go through sort of checklist. Did you apply for like, for instance, they don't give you the small business grant if you took the PPP loan
Right.
in DuPage County. So whether we're going to do that or not, that's, I think, next Monday's meeting. So, but we're going to keep it very simple and as user-friendly as possible.
Got it. Will you come back and let us know after next week meeting?
Absolutely.
Trustee Frost?
Yeah. What was the total amount the county got?
The total
Or is
amount,
supposed to get?
the total amount was 92.9 million, somewhere around there.
And the number that they use for the per capita, does that come from our census?
We're still coming to terms on the census numbers, but essentially, I think we're going to land somewhere very close to whatever the 2019 census numbers from CMAP that came out. So I know Carpentersville might have been a little off. Elgin was the one that saw the biggest variance in their estimates compared to our numbers. So it's still going to be around that ballpark of about 2 million plus.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, just to make it clear, these are grants, correct? They are not loans.
For the small businesses, they will be grants. We're not going to do loans. We've already decided.
Okay.
Yeah,
What about for non-for-profit?
same.
Same? Okay.
And if it comes back, the third-party administrator says, oh, you have to do it a little different. Don't do grants, just direct, however the term might be. But we've already, as far as I know, ruled out doing loans because it's not favorable overall.
Okay.
And this money has to be spent by December 30th. There's all these criteria. I know you guys are aware.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, no, Eric, I know you've been studying this stuff too, and there's a lot of complexities to it. In some ways, it's very simple, but then once you peel back the onion a little bit, there's all these details and things are in the balance. But we're looking pretty good. We're making good progress, and like I said, we're meeting weekly, and next week we're really going to be getting into the small business, nonprofit stuff, and I'll have more to report next time. Yeah.
That money should be hitting September.
We're hoping that the next county board meeting next week, we're going to be voting on something that's going to be finalizing all that, and everything will be ready. So maybe next week we'll see something, but maybe the week after, and then it'll be a 2-week window. So, and we'll be letting everybody know. Just get it out there as much as you can to
Okay.
everybody. But for
Perfect.
you guys, for the municipalities, I mean, you already have the connection to the
Yeah.
county, so.
Metro West and stuff. And, yeah. Sounds good. Anybody else? Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next on our agenda, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless the trustee so requests, in which the event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda.
I would like to remove item C.
And we need a second for that?
No, President Skillman, at this point, we could just proceed to a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
And then we'll move that to new business?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So items A, B, D, E, F, and G, and H then. If I have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Trustee Malone, thank you.
Yeah, I'll second.
Trustee Andreessen.
That's a
seconds it.
motion to approve the consent agenda,
Correct.
items A, B, D through
Minus
H.
C.
Minus C, yeah. And roll call, please.
Trustee Garcia,
Yes.
Trustee Malone,
Yes.
Trustee O'Sullivan,
Yes?
Trustee Andreessen,
Yes.
Trustee Frost,
Yes.
Trustee Vela,
Yes.
President Skillman.
Yes, motion carries to approve the consent agenda A, B, D, E, F, G, and H. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, reports of manager and staff.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Jim Savio from Sikich to give our annual audit presentation to the board.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you for inviting me here tonight to present the village's comprehensive annual financial report, or CAFR, for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2019. I want to thank first Tanya and the entire staff for all of their assistance throughout the entire audit process. Obviously, this year was very unusual. We had planning meeting, preliminary field work in person, but after that, everything was remote. So it was a little bit different of an experience, but Tanya was great. She got everything to us electronically. She was really responsive to our questions. Sometimes it's kind of out of sight, out of mind when you're not on site. So she was real responsive, got us everything we needed, and were able to get the audit out pretty much on time. So I want to thank her for that. What I'd like to do is go through just a few of the highlights of the comprehensive annual financial report, so the big report. I want to go through the table of contents just to kind of give you a feel for what's in the report. There's a lot of stuff in here. Luckily for you guys, I will not go through all of it tonight. But I'll point out a few of the highlights. So, yeah, if you look at the table of contents, there's three main sections. There's the introductory section, the financial section, which has the majority of the financial statements, and that's basically what we give an opinion on. For the most part, there's a couple things in there we don't, and I'll point those out. And then the statistical section is the last part. So that's the three main sections. In the financial section, we've got the independent auditor's report that starts it off, and then the management discussion and analysis that follows. We'll look at that in a little bit of detail in a minute here. Then after that are what we call the basic financial statements. And the first ones are going to be those government-wide financial statements. These are going to be the consolidated financial statements for the village. So it's going to include all of your funds except for the pension trust funds. And it's broken out by governmental activities and then business-type activities, which is your water and sewer fund. These are going to have a long-term focus. They've got capital assets and long-term debt. So they're similar to what you'd find in corporate financial statements. Now, after that are the fund financial statements, and the governmental fund financial statements are a little bit different. They are shown by major fund, and then non-major funds are aggregated together and shown as one column. These have a short-term focus. So they have no capital assets, no long-term debt. So it's just focused on current spendable resources, similar to how you budget. So there's a little bit of a different measurement focus and basis of accounting than those government-wide financial statements. And you'll see on pages 10 and 12, there's a reconciliation that kind of gets you from that short-term focus to that long-term focus. After that are the proprietary fund, balance sheet, income statement, and the statement of cash flows. Those are on pages 13 through 17. And then the fiduciary funds, which are the police and fire pension fund. There's a balance sheet and income statement for those funds as well. They're combined here. If you want to see the individual funds, you can see that on page 112 and 113. Then after that, there's a whole lot of notes to the financial statements, pages 20 to 71. A lot of great additional information that supports the basic financial statements that we just looked at, and should be read in conjunction with it. And then after that, we have some required supplementary information. What I'll point out here, this required supplementary information and then that management discussion and analysis is also, we do not give an opinion on that. So we do some limited procedures on those sections, but not enough to give an opinion on those. After the required supplementary information, what's in there basically is budget versus actual for your general fund and your major special revenue funds. And then a lot of additional information on your participation in your three pension plans, both our IMRF, police pension, and fire pension, as well as your other post-employment benefit plan, your retiree health plan. Then after that are the combining and individual fund financial statements. A lot of great additional detail on the funds and a lot of budget versus actual statements as well. So that's on page 84 through 113. And then finally, the stats section wraps it all up. A lot of great trend information, a lot of 10-year data in this section. Interesting information. Again, we don't opine on this information. So what I'd like to do is start out in the financial section. So right after the financial section tab in the hard copy is the independent auditor's report. These are the 3 pages that we as the auditors prepare and are responsible for. Management's responsible for the rest of the CAFR, and those responsibilities are explained here on page 1. On page 2, up at the very top, is the most important paragraph for most people, the opinion paragraph. Again, this year we issued an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can provide to the village. And then right below that, change in accounting principle. We did adopt 2 new accounting pronouncements, GASB 83 on certain asset retirement obligations, as well as GASB statement number 84, fiduciary activities. We did have to record a retirement obligation and a related deferred outflow of resources for some obligations related to when you eventually retire your water wells. So we had to book a liability and a deferred outflow for that. And then GASB 84, just some real minor changes to the footnotes, some wording changes, but no big changes for the village for GASB 84. And then turning over a few more pages to MD&A, page 1 is management discussion and analysis. This is prepared by the finance department. Great overview of the village's financial position and changes in financial position. points out any significant changes or trends that may be occurring during the years, especially this year with COVID-19. And then it also has some 2-year comparative data that you can't find elsewhere in the CAFR. So I tell you every year, if you want to read one thing, read the MD&A. It provides a good overview of the village's finances.
Sorry, I got a question, but it says
Sure.
here unaudited.
Correct?
It says here unaudited.
Yeah, correct. Yes, the MD&A and the required supplementary information is unaudited. So we do perform some limited procedures on it, but not enough to give an opinion. And that is covered if you look at page 2 of the independent auditor's report. It kind of explains what we do with that required supplementary information. Turning to actual page 4, not MD&A page 4, here's where we get into those government-wide financial statements. So the statement of net position is on page 4 and 5. The one thing I'll point out, your net position down at the bottom of page 5, you'll see you've got total net position for governmental activities of about 53 million and business type activities of about 42 million. You'll see the unrestricted deficit in the governmental activities. That's due to the liability for the pension, fire pension, police pension, IMRF, as well as retiree health. So that's the reason why that part is negative. Then page 6 is the statement of activities or your income statement. Again, on page 7 down at the bottom, your change in net position, your net income. Governmental activities increased about $7.4 million, and business type activities decreased about $442,000, mainly due to a transfer out in the current year of about $1.3 million. So page 8 starts those governmental fund financial statements, these short-term focused financial statements. The one thing I'll point out for your general fund, which is your first column, down at the bottom of page 9, the unassigned fund balance for the general fund is about $13.8 million, or about 47% of your current year expenditures, or about a 6-month reserve, which is in accordance with your fund balance policy on page 27. And then page 11 is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the governmental funds, or your income statement. Again, the first column is your general fund. About 2/3 of the way down the page, you can see your excess of revenues over expenditures of about $4 million before transfers. And then after transfers, the net change in fund balance was about $3 million for the general fund. So good year for the general fund in 2019. And then one thing I want to point out in the proprietary fund financial statements on page 15, the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. About halfway down the page, your water and sewer fund had an operating income of about $980,000. So that basically means all your charges for services are covering your operating expenses, including depreciation, which is a non-cash transaction. And then down at the bottom, as I pointed out before, the change in net position was a decrease of about $442,000. And then the last thing in the CAFR I'll point out to you is just the couple of schedules on the funded status of your retirement funds, and that starts on page 79. This is, we're in the required supplementary information here. So 79 is your schedule of changes in the employer's net pension liability and related ratios for IMRF. So basically, if you look down about halfway down the page, your net pension liability for IMRF as of 12/31/2018 is about $4.3 million. And then right below that, you're about 86% funded. We show IMRF a year behind due to timing with when IMRF gets their information to us. So their 2019 info is usually not ready till about the beginning of June. So we elect to show 1 year previous information. So 2018 was not a good year. 2019, however, was a good year for IMRF, so they did recover a lot. And then same information for your police pension and fire pension on the next 2 pages, pages 80 and 81. You'll see police pension had a good year for 2019. Funded ratio went from about 57% to 66%, or a 9% increase there. And then fire pension, same information. went from about 67% funded to 73% funded. So fire pension fund, compared to the average downstate retirement fund, very well funded at 73%. That's all I had in the comprehensive annual financial report. I want to point out a few things in the auditor's communication to the Board of Trustees, which is that smaller report. If you turn to the table of contents, that smaller report, there is some required communication that we have to have with those charged with governance, in this case, the village board. This year, that was pretty routine in nature. We didn't, like I said, have any significant difficulties during the audit. Everything was issued on time, so no real issues there. We did communicate that we did implement GASB Statement 83 and 84. Now, after that, we're required to communicate to you any audit adjusting journal entries that we found. So we did have 9 adjustments, and those are on pages 5 through 7. We are also required to communicate any, what we call past adjusting journal entries. These are entries that were deemed to be immaterial, so we passed or we didn't book them. We didn't have any of those, so everything that needed to be adjusted was adjusted in those 9 journal entries. And then the very last thing, we had a communication of deficiencies in internal control. And if you turn to page 9, just want to point out you had no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. And then we had one deficiency that was a carry forward from the prior year, and that is on page 10. Up at the very top. So, with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on these reports. We did issue a single audit report because you expended more than $750,000 in federal funds. We had 3 what we call TIF reports, basically on our report on management's compliance with Public Act 85-1142. And then we did have, in accordance with the new state of Illinois GADA laws, we did issue a comprehensive year-end financial report in relation to opinion on that as well. So be happy to answer any questions on any of those reports that you might have.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Savio? No?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Yep. Thank
Another
you, Mr.
good
President.
year. Pretty good. Thank you, Tanya. Not you, Michael? I mean, thank you, Michael. Tanya did all the work? Village staff, yeah. No, I know. I know. I live it every day. My wife is my life. So, excellent. Thank you, guys. Good report. All right. Any other?
Just a few other brief updates. King County Health Department had held 2 COVID testing sites at Dundee Crown, one on July 30th and one on August 2nd. Those had 367 and 348 tests, respectively. And we just did confirm that they're doing another one on this Friday from 9 to 5 at Dundee Crown. We're also continuing to work with Senator Castro's office and trying to get the state of Illinois to put a more, instead of a 1-day testing center, more of a 1 or 2 week extended period testing center along Route 25. We're still trying to get that confirmed. Chamber of Commerce is working with us and the Dundees. They're trying to plan a restaurant week since all the different fests have been canceled this year. They are opening it up to both chamber and non-chamber members and trying to get all 3 villages to help promote their restaurants. So we're working with them and looking to do some sort of mailing to residents and some sort of fun promotional type thing to get people to continue to service restaurants.
And it's not just businesses that are in the chamber, it's
yes,
also
it's
other
both
restaurants.
Yeah,
so.
it's restaurants, specifically restaurants, but it's open to non-chamber members. And that was one of our concerns. If we were going to, help support it, we wanted it to be open to all of our restaurants, not just those that are chamber members. And then
We have some money in the budget, administrative budget, to support some advertising.
yeah, some promotional stuff. They've asked each of the villages to commit $1,000, and then they would pick up the rest of it, which is a pretty minimal cost to support it. So We're still trying to get the final details, but we'll likely be working with them to get that formalized. And once we have the details, I'll share that with you. And then finally, Carrie, HR, and I have been working with department heads with school restarting and schools constantly in flux, some changing, as soon as a week ago from remote learning to in person. We're trying to take an inventory of all staff that may be affected with childcare issues. For those of you who weren't aware, the federal government did pass FMLA rules that do require some additional time off for childcare purposes related to COVID. That does come with compensation. We've been calling it COVID time. I can't think of a better term for it, but that is something that we may have to deal with. Additionally, we're able to work out some procedures for remote working during phases 2 and 3. Hopefully, we do not regress, but if things do tick up or trends, the governor has said he would send the state back or send regions back in the previous regions. And at phase 3, we do more of a hybrid depending on job-related duties, and Public Works goes to 2 shifts to try to minimize, exposure to one another. Phase 2, we start looking at essential people being, asked to stay home and things like that. Hopefully we don't regress that far, but we are monitoring that. And the school district thing is tough because, every time we get an update, another school district changes, what their plans are for the year. But we do want to work with our staff as childcare centers are also impacted and are shutting down as well as schools. There's potential to have an effect on those staff members who have kids. Other than that, those are my updates for tonight.
Yeah, last night we sat through the kindergarten meeting with District 300 on Zoom, and it's going to be tough. They're going to give the kindergartners a Chromebook, I believe, and they're going to say log in at 8 a.m. and through 2:30 for a 5-year-old. It's going to be difficult. Yes. Very difficult for moms and dads that are trying to work and have babysitters and everything. And obviously Maria understands all this from the school district. It's going to be very, very difficult for everyone here. Everyone in this room is going to be affected, even grandma and grandpas like me. So and we're going to have to all help out. So that's why we wanted to open this discussion tonight. And Manager Johnson, was Carrie, are you doing a presentation? No, not tonight. Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that. So, yeah, we want to open the line of discussion, with our people. We want to be good, employers to our employees and make sure that they can have that time, if possible, to teach and help the kids learn until we all get back. Hopefully by after the first year, we have some kind of way back into the school and kids can get together with their friends again and learn, and teachers can take over again and do their jobs, right? It's going to be tough, so, especially for a kindergartner, that's never sat through a classroom before, so. But thank you.
I've tried to get Chief Kilborn to open a daycare in this room, which isn't used during the day, but since he's an empty nester now, he hasn't bit on that proposition.
He'll be a grandpa soon? No. So, no, that's good. We need to start talking about it, and you guys are ahead of it, sounds like already. Carrie, thank you. And I know, number one, Bradford Stewart is on all over that too, our attorney, so helping us through that. So.
Not like the others.
Not like the other towns, I know. Anyways, okay, that's it? Is that all we got? Okay. Old business? We have no old business tonight, Ben? No, just say no. Okay. Well, Kelly usually helps me through these meetings. You're not really helping me much. So, okay, next item, new business. We have to revisit item C on our consent agenda. And do we have to open that discussion? We need a motion to open that?
Oh, well, you could do it either way, discussion first or motion first. It might be, since it got pulled, maybe discussion first might make more sense.
Yeah, so. Trustee Andreessen, did you want to discuss that?
Yeah, so I had some concerns with this, and if everyone isn't familiar, it's regarding a neighborhood in Carpentersville that has some rules set up on how the houses can be built and how they can look. And it says basically it's 50% brick or stone in the front of their house. And this was asking for a variation for a small, it looked like less than 2 feet around the porch and around the poles, which, and then they were going to do a flat type vertical wood instead. So I called some people I know that live in that neighborhood. Specifically, both of them live on Oak Knoll, which is the street when you enter that neighborhood. They were both very upset about it. They said there's a feel for the neighborhood, and if any of you have driven through there are a lot of 100% brick homes or stone homes. It is a lot of, there's just a look to it, and they're a little upset being living there that the main road is going to have a house that's going to look so drastically different, and that the ordinance or the rules involved were there for a reason. And so I felt that I wanted to vote against it because they are against it, and so we needed to pull it in order to discuss it first to see how everyone else feels.
Okay.
There is a homeowners association for that subdivision
There is.
that mandates whatever you can do or you cannot do.
Correct, and it does, yeah, they, you had said,
Yes, the homeowners association made contact when it went before, initially, was going before planning and zoning. They did check their records, because part of the permitting process is we need both planning and zoning approval as well as the homeowners association, and the homeowners association did grant approval for this house. I also believe there are 2 or 3 other houses in the neighborhood that have been granted similar variances about the stone. I don't think they're the slat, style, but it did meet some of the other requirements of, Ben, if you want to hit that.
Sure. Yeah, so in terms of the village code and the design guidelines, as was referenced on the first page of the staff report, our design guidelines suggest that any home in this subdivision, in order to be approved administratively by staff, that the front contain face brick or stone on 90% of the first floor elevation, and 50% of the home overall have brick or stone. And so therefore, we needed to have a variation be submitted, a request by the property owner, who is here this evening. So if there are, more specific questions for the Kimbroughs, and they are the ones who have also indicated to staff that they have received approval from the homeowners association. So separate and apart from having the homeowners association review this project in advance of it coming before the board, that's not a requirement in our code that the homeowners association review a project first, but just for the board to know that prior to the building department issuing a building permit, we do require that letter of approval from the HOA. So, even if the homeowner had not made contact with the association at this point, it would still be a requirement before they would obtain a building permit, because certainly the homeowners association can be more restrictive than the village code and ordinances. So, the Planning and Zoning Commission considered the request on its merit from what the property owner is requesting, and was unanimous in their recommendation of approval to the board. But certainly, the board can discuss, and, depending on what, the trustees' thoughts are on the proposal, that certainly, you're able to ask questions, or certainly staff is available to help try to answer those. And again, the property owners of that lot are here this evening as well.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
That's the first lot when you pull out off of Miller?
No,
Or is it in?
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, I know where, yeah.
I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. If they already went through the process of dealing with the homeowners association, we shouldn't stop them. They are a pain in the rear.
The homeowners association?
And we don't even have an entire board in that subdivision, just so you know.
Yeah, there's only,
Oh, zoning?
Yeah. It would have gone through planning and zoning. Was that unanimous?
It was.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm ready to take it to a vote. I need a motion then to,
A motion on it,
A motion
one way
on
or
it.
the other.
I'm sorry, I have a question, just a general question. Why do we have these ordinances in the first place if we're going to grant variances? You said we've done this in the past, Eric, for other people, and we're being asked to grant another variance tonight. What's the point of these ordinances to begin with if we're going to grant routine variances? It sort of seems ridiculous to me.
Is that our ordinance, or is that the homeowners?
Yeah, it's our ordinance. It's our ordinance, now we're being asked to grant variances left, right, and center. No offense. What's the point of the bloody ordinance to begin? What was the original purpose of the ordinance? So we have some uniformity in the neighborhood, I assume, right? I mean,
I'm sorry, it was asked by the homeowners association to grant several guidance for the constructions on houses in that area.
right, and now they're saying, forget it, it's okay. I'm a little lost as to its original purpose, and now we're abandoning the original purpose, and good time is being taken up here tonight with this discussion, and it'll be taken up in the future by this august body for the same purpose as some future development or redevelopment, right? While we debate this again, another variance. So I'm a little lost as to the purpose of this original ordinance and why we're doing this. To me, the Planning and Zoning Board has approved it, the homeowners association has approved it, and it's a little bit of a waste of our time to be sitting here whether we're approving it or not approving it. Everybody else has already approved it. We're only rubber stamping this, to be perfectly blunt about it. You know, it's kind of, not our business to be standing in the way,
well, I mean, yeah.
I agree with Trustee O'Sullivan. I think if anybody has ever dealt with the homeowners association anywhere, it can be aggravating at the least. So I agree with Trustee O'Sullivan on that, with the ordinance.
I'm a little lost as to why the original ordinance was set up. So do you want to go ahead and go to a vote, President Scullman?
But we still need a motion on the item.
I'll make a motion to approve item C.
I'll sec.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay, motion to approve item C, Trustee Frost, a second by Trustee Garcia. Roll call, please.
Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
Trustee Malone?
Yes.
Trustee O'Sullivan?
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen?
no.
Trustee Frost?
Yes.
Trustee Vela?
Yes.
President Skillman?
Yes, motion carries to approve the ordinance.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Okay, next item on our agenda is trustee reports. Trustee Vela, you want to go first tonight?
Nothing to report.
Trustee Andreessen?
Nothing to report.
Trustee Frost?
I do. I want to say thanks to the financial department. Tanya, Michael, great job.
Good job.
A lot of work to go into that for all this paperwork here. It's very time consuming. Yeah, good job. For anybody that didn't look at the agenda, if you look at the project that was passed, it did come in under budget, like $53,000 under budget. So that was a good get for us here at the village, saving that amount of money on the sewer lining project. Good job on Public Works. And the census, I talked about it last time. I'm going to continue to talk about it. You heard our King County board member talk about the $60 per capita. The per capita comes from our census, and that's the amount of people that are in our census that actually fill out the paperwork and send it in or do it online. So that's just goes to show you, the more money, the more people that are counted, the more money we get. So that's how important it is to fill out your census, and it takes every bit of 5 minutes maybe. So please fill out your census. It's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee O'Sullivan?
Our thanks to the Finance Department and your help on both this audit and the bond issue, which will save the taxpayer a ton of money. Thank you very much.
For sure.
That presentation in Audit and Finance Committee the other night was very helpful and informative, very much appreciated. It went over my head, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Now that you understand it more, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I had Skillman explain it to me later. So that helped a lot.
My wife, maybe.
And the other thing, I guess I would want to encourage us as an employer, the village as an employer, to bend over backwards to find ways to help people with children, whatever ends up happening with school, to find ways to be flexible, to work with our union partners, to find ways to accommodate shift workers, and I get that there's provisions in the union contracts that say, the seniority has to do with who gets what shift and all that jazz. I get all that. I guess I would just ask for humanity, to rule out over contracts here, if we can at all get some cooperation from everybody, because when all this COVID jazz started, none of us could see any light at the end of the tunnel. But I think if we listen to the good news, there are vaccines on the horizon, and the timing, whether it's 3 months or 6 months, it's certainly not longer than the beginning of next year. And there is an end to this. There is an end date when we can all get back to what would be normal, right? And kids can go back to school, and we can all go about our lives and get these goofy masks off and go inside the restaurants and not be scared. And when that day comes, I'll buy a beer for everybody, But until then, we're going to have to.
And we're still practicing today.
It's on tape. But until then, we're going to have to find a way to try and be as accommodating as we can for our employees with kids. I mean, I've been there when you're trying to raise kids and find ways to get them to school. And in this case, when they can't go to school, whatever we can do as an employer to be accommodating, especially as a high visibility employer in this town, I'd encourage us to try and find a way to do that. And I get that there might be a little dent in the budget if we do that, or a little bit inconvenience around here, but I think it'd be well worth it to be a leader and to set that example for this village. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. That was great. Trustee Garcia?
Well, the 31 Miller intersection has been finished 2 weeks ago. Nobody talked about it, but it's great.
Great. Yeah.
You can go in and out without any issue. I also want to remind the residents to spend local. We got to stay Carpentersville strong. We're in this together. We got to pull out of it together. Finally, thank you, Mike. Good job. And I want to thank the rest of our employees for putting up with all the nonsense that is happening. And it's going to be, like Trustee O'Sullivan said, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. Let's get there healthy. Thank you.
If you're ready.
Can I just take a second to thank President Skillman and the board for their vote on the pet shop ordinance? And I'd like to thank Attorney Stewart and Manager Johnson for their work. It was important to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Definitely. That's good. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so John stole my thunder. No, I'm kidding. No, I totally, we had a conversation last night about it, actually, and we feel the same way. He brought up 5 kids, so he knows. He understands this. And now grandkids coming, and I talked about it earlier, so how important it is. And, we'll get through it, like he said, and we all have to work together as the village. So, welcome, Ambrose. And when's the last time we had a building permit in this town?
For single family?
Yeah.
Actually, just a couple months ago, there was the platted subdivision on Sleepy Hollow Road.
Oh, we brought that in.
Yep, but.
So this is our second one, and you guys don't even know how many years.
Yeah.
None of you were here in this room when we had our last building permit, besides Michael and I believe, in this room, so. Chief Kilborn. The rest of you were not around here. Nowhere ever thinking about this town. And it's been a long time since we had a building going up in our community, a single-family home. So we're, and I'm not saying we have to, we jump through any hoops for that. I wasn't involved in any of it. I just, first time I've met these people. So I'm happy, to have you guys here, definitely. And I know the other people. I forgot the Schultzes. David, I coached him, a child. So he's a great kid. So he was our first one. That's right. Schultz family. But anyways, yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about, I talked about earlier, was committees. So if you know anybody interested in any committees, we do have some people out west have reached out to me to join some different committees, but we want to put it out. We're going to put it out online. I think between Kevin and Eric and everybody, so we can get the word out. I'll be doing some interviews. I might ask one or two, well, at least one, I can only have one, I guess, with me, to talk to some different people, maybe have coffee and, figure out where they'll fit good for us, for our village, and get people involved. So we do have a police pension position open. So I know Mr. Moorhead's leaving. He's moving to Kansas. So I think he has one more meeting left. And then, so we're going to have to fill his position. I mean, it's important that we fill that right away and fill all of them. So it's a good time to do that right now. And Eric and I have been talking about it a lot, so we need to do it. And Kelly's been helping us with it too. So, so we'll get that information out and get those filled. So you'll be seeing some appointments coming up again. But, okay, so just regular business at the Village Hall. So, all right, anybody have anything else? We have no closed session tonight, correct? And nobody has anything else. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Yeah, I'll second.
We have a motion by Trustee Garcia, a second by Trustee Andreessen. Voice. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.